Yes, really start with people. This is definitely
Man, God's first creation, father, son, uncle, brother. On a journey of highs and lows, you were created in the image of God and given dominion in the earth, destined for great things and to fulfill purpose. Join us on Men on Monday as we discuss all issues related to men. We are unifying family, building you, building strong families, building strong futures. Join us on Men on Monday.
Good morning, everyone, on this 14th day of February. Yes, 2021. 22, sorry. And today's show is all about Teach Me to Love. Today's show, our guest, Minister Clair Browne. Good morning. Bishop Bynoe, Bishop Mark, good morning, and good morning to Jason and all of you who are live with us on our stream on Facebook and also on YouTube. This morning, our show is all about affection. And you know that's a big thing. They say sometimes men have FIPS. What's that? Frigid in public syndrome. And then sometimes they say that men only show affection behind closed doors. Those are just some of the comments that I got as we. But today, we women and men, we're going to explore affection. What really is it? We're also going to explore what it looks like for different people. And how men sometimes understand affection. So women, gather around, like and share our stream, and of course, we'll get started in today's show. Let's start with Bishop Bynoe, then Bishop Mark, and then we leave Minister Sinclair to start us all off as we look at affection. Men
Hey,
affectionate or affection not?
Marissa, I always leave it up to you to come up with these kinds of categories. These are what I would call dichotomies. Uh, the fact that men are not affectionate. The reality is that as long as you like or care about someone, you are going to demonstrate affection in some way. The issue is how we define affection, how we understand affection, because for different people, affection means different things. And so we have to look at affection in a broad category. So when for example we look at the definition of affection, it talks about feeling or liking or caring for someone. So what that means is that affection shows that you like someone. You do something that indicates that you like someone. So therefore, it's something that you say or do that communicates the feeling of liking or being attracted to the individual. Now, there could be a lot of different ways of showing affection. And so I'm sure that we're going to talk about different love languages and how to show affection in the context of the different love languages. And then I'm sure that we're going to talk about how to speak affection in such a way that is meaningful to the other person, because I might think I'm being affectionate in a way that I'm accustomed being affectionate, but my spouse may not receive it as me being affectionate, because we have different ways of loving and feeling love. So I'm going to leave it there and give the gentleman opportunity to jump in and to build on that.
yeah. I thought it was a rather interesting topic as we would have discussed it. You know, when we start to talk about these things, I want to be a little, I don't know, controversial, but I think one of the things that seriously affects a man's ability to be affectionate is that sometimes women can have in their minds what they believe affection is, and maybe what they would have read in the Mills and Bones. I don't know what is the going book today, but you know how a man should only kiss her lips tenderly, and all these words start to form certain things in the minds of the women. And so it then makes, and we'll be discussing programming all the areas, it then makes a man's job kind of difficult, because ladies will come a lot of times with the whole mind that men are not affectionate. Men only think about sex and all of that. But when you look at it, a man shows affection in so many different ways. Wanting to hold hands, and sometimes the ladies don't want that. We as men want to pull at our wives, and some wives are very, very ignorant where that's concerned. We want to, we look at them and try to pull at them and different things, as you would know, the various parts and so on. And yet they reject these things, and they will say that you are not affectionate. So you have a situation where in a woman's mind, she might be thinking, well, for my husband to show affection, he has to open the door for me every time I get into the car. Now, if you're fair, as you would have thought, maybe talking about the cooking and so on, Lady Marissa, that a woman could open the car door for a man too. But what I'm saying is because of these preconceptions and what affection is all about. Say, for example, a man can show affection through his commitment to work and providing for his family. That is affection. I mean, when you can look around, you're driving a car and don't go to worry about changing the tire, changing this. You don't even go to worry about the bill. There are a lot of ways, but I think when we talk about affection, I guess we're going to be focusing a lot on physical touch and all of that, and meeting the needs of your spouse and partner. But as I said, I just want to drop that in there to see where it will take us, because sometimes the misconceptions or your preconceived ideas as to what it is do create some issues for men. And what usually would happen is that, as we men would say, I mean, exceptions to every rule, when the pressure is on and we get to a point where we realize, look, ain't making a difference, a man will go totally to the other side. You see, Bishop may not necessarily be right, but he will go to the other side. So I just thought I would drop that in there before we get deep into the conversation to help us to understand that sometimes a man trying his best. A man might very well come out of a situation where he's not, it has to come from an affectionate family and all of that. There are so many issues, but I just thought I would add that little flavor there that would maybe help to stir you up a little bit, Lady Marissa, and the other ladies who are listening.
Some interesting points, I must say, especially noting his background, and I really want to talk about that. Understanding that I've learned that a person's upbringing really affects how they understand showing and receiving love. That is major. If you understand that, you will understand how sometimes why a person doesn't do this or they don't understand this because their upbringing does not say, yes, this is a norm. So it's important for us to understand that background, especially if you're talking about affection. Minister Sinclair, as we get started, what
Yes,
really
please.
is affection? And then you can jump in there. Go ahead.
Well, the definition of affection is a gentle feeling of fondness or liking, or the act of processing of affection or being affected. So this thing, because it comes from the word affect, affected, and then we got affection. So we got would that be adjective? I think it is verb. Sorry. So the action word, yes, verb. So affection. You're showing affection to the person. So the last time we had this last program at the end was the question about men and how do men receive affection. Generally speaking, men have not been able to verbalize and to put words to what it looks like for a lot of ladies. And I like what both of the bishops said, and hanging on what Bishop Mark was saying recently, I mean just now, was the fact that many times that is not right, but many times a man may exhibit affection based on his ideology. And going by what you said, Marissa, also based on his upbringing, but this is not a known fact. So many times that's why counseling is important because as we talk about love languages or the interpretation of what that affection looks like, some ladies may actually listen to this program and try to do the thing to their man, their husband, and it may not work. And that's why they need to have a third party in the conversation to help tread this out a little bit. But going from a broad base for men, men like, just like women, men like to be hugged. A lot of women don't recognize men want to be hugged also. Yes, please. Yes, Marissa. Men, a lot of men, believe it or not, and this is a concept where we go deep. Believe it or not, the men that love for their wife to spoon them, like the wife to come behind them and hug them from behind, in the bed and to be hugged. And that makes a lot of men feel very, very loved. A lot of men like to be kissed also. There's a big one. A lot of men like women to smile. The smile of a woman melts a man's heart. There's nothing better than a man coming home and being greeted by a smile. It is one of the best things in the world. One of the things most men get is good evening. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. So you must understand that you go to the food lady or you go somewhere else and the person smile at you, but you come home where you are, working hard, providing all those things. It's very concrete, and you come home and you get a grunt. So a lot of men don't feel the affection from their spouse, but a smile is very big on there. Um, gratitude, being gratitude praise is a big one for a lot of men feeling affection and words of affection. Those are the things I want to see. Hugging, men love hugs, kisses, smiles, especially smiles. I put a smile at number one. Explicit gratitude of praise, yes. I told my black ladies, tell a black lady smile is like, geez, yeah. Explicit offer of gratitude and praise and words of affection. And this is the main things I find. There are other things I would add to that, but those are my five of my research where men would feel affection.
Thing. Interesting. Because one of the things you said is that, coming home. Good morning to Anita, Sally, Jason, Marilyn, all with us today. You said when you come home and your smell, that warm, when you come home, someone is happy to see you versus the good evening. But it kind of also stems from a person's personality, how they respond to you. Because if and I'm not talking about from, but I'm just sharing generally because I don't want anybody to think that I'm pushing a woman's view here. I'm just sharing. If you as a man come through the door and you just say good evening to your spouse, or a woman comes through the door and say good evening, and that's all to your spouse or your partner, there's no warmth there. Both parties, there that might have been the precedent set where we just come and we say good evening. You cook, or you turn the chicken. That might be their thing, but I'm just saying that it has to go both ways. Where they're set a precedent, where somebody would say, you know what, I'm gonna change the environment. I'm gonna change the atmosphere. Hi, hon, how was your day? And then you give somebody that, and they're like, what you want? Or what happened? You know, that kind of negativity will throw off. I can imagine coming home and giving somebody that, and they're like, what happened? What you or like giving you like, look, something is wrong. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Anybody want to add to that,
Let me
Bishop? Go
jump on
ahead,
that quickly
Sinclair.
and then let the bishops going after that. Yes. You see, every do this thing all the time, and honestly, every wait on this person reciprocating based on this, it would never go anywhere. Like seriously, right? And you can, let's say the guy come in and good evening, right? And you say good evening, sweetheart, and he grunts. So you can pause them. There are ways that I'm not saying. Look, marriage and relationship takes effort. If we're not going to do effort, forget marriage. Like seriously, right? We're not teenagers. If we're not going to put in the work, forget this. You know what I mean? Because we all have downfalls, and you'll be surprised. I'm telling you, watch this same guy go somewhere and a woman smile at him. He returns his smile. So at some point in time, there was this downfall of whatever. I got grown men come in my office and they smile when they come in, and I'm a man, right? Why? Because I greet them with a smile. You understand? It is something by human nature. When people smile, when people laugh, other people laugh. They don't even know what the people laughing at. You know what I mean? They end up smiling. There is that emotion, is that energy. I go into companies and I'm greeted. I'm sorry, but majority, and maybe it's because the probability of customer service is led by women. But majority of times I go to customer service, you get horrible service from women. There's a grunt, they don't give you eye contact. But I could tell you within less than 5 minutes, they're smiling at me. They're telling me about their day, whatever, because I don't allow their grunt and their unmanliness to change my demeanor. I give them a smile. I give them a smile. I give them positive. I give them how you're doing. Eventually, there's a smile. Eventually, there's that greeting. It takes effort. So I'm just saying, if we want to move from a way we talk about affection, we could go back and everybody, oh, he grit, I'm going to grit too. Well, fine. But if we want to really work on this, because the babes come in a second, and you can talk about this. Coming on the evening and grant and da da da. I can smile. I'm glad to see you. Glad to see you're home. You know, you had me in the, you know, all of a sudden he's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a new culture, but you keep doing it, he's going to get accustomed. That's my question.
Well, Bishop
So
Mark,
nobody else wants to add anything else?
I was waiting for you to jump in, but I like what Minister Sinclair said, because he talked about the fact that one, marriage takes effort. Two, it is about love. Yeah, it's about unconditional love. And the thing is, more often than not, we tend to do a tick for tat. If you do this, I can do it back to you. And that doesn't make for a healthy relationship, right? The whole thing about affection is that we like the person, and therefore we want to show them that we like them. We want to show them in some tangible way that they're important, that they're special. It could be a hug, it could be a kiss, but those are the physical expressions. But again, it's important to find out what's meaningful for the individual. And I think that's where sometimes you have to have those conversations. And you say, ask the question, what would you like me to do that makes you feel loved, liked, appreciated? Yeah, what would you like for me to do? And so you have that conversation. But going back to what Bishop Mark said, again, to echo some feedback there. But going back to what Bishop Mark said, sometimes there are presuppositions and misconceptions. And you got to remember, people are shaped by their backgrounds. So if they grew up in a home where the parents weren't accustomed with public displays of affection or showing affection, where the relationship was very transactional, that kind of thing, people tend to practice what they saw in their home environment, what they saw in terms of how their parents relate and so on. So some people may not be comfortable with certain displays of affection. Yeah, and trust me, it does take effort. If your personality is one way, especially if you have that kind of melancholic personality where you're accustomed being on your own, reflective and that sort of thing, you're not going to be the most expressive person at times. And so that has to be something that you learn, that you cultivate. So we can learn to be more affectionate. We can learn to do certain things. We can learn to smile, we can learn to touch, we can learn to hug, we can learn to do all these different things, but it does require some effort. Yeah, Bishop Mark?
Yeah, you said some powerful things there. That's so very true, because a number of things came across my brain as, you know, you all were thinking, talking about this. You know, as you said there, just now, Bishop, you might, I can't read anymore. Edison, right. I'm holding back a little bit because I don't want to take it into another thing. But here's my and one of the our viewers here actually said that most, and this word had me, most men change after they get married. What I will say to that is this: even although it might be true, it can't be most. What happens is that somehow women feel, although they would have been courting the man before and everything, they feel they don't take note of saying, for example, a lady will come and tell you and call saying, "Oh, my husband is so laid back." You know, my next question, was he like that before you got married? Yes. So what? Why would you expect him now to be a Superman, running and doing everything? You know, so even as Bishop was saying, as Clair said, you have got to learn. I look at it this way. I write down the word plant in there. If you want your soil to give you back good fruit, you got to prepare your garden properly. You got to prepare and nurture the soil. So if your guy is laid back, you have to put opportunities there for him to expand, to do stuff. But you work along with it because you were getting your way. And when things get tight now, all of a sudden he's laid back, or you go to work and hear what somebody else's spouse is doing. And you start to mark, well, he don't do that. Well, he don't do this. Well, my husband very laid back. And all the time you were courting him, he was that way. I know that ladies would go out with the boyfriends before they got married, and the boyfriend a little, feel a little way about hugging her in public or even kissing in public. You work with it, but as soon as you get married, you expect the man to change. As the bishop was saying, these are things now that you would have to work on. But you hear, oh, my husband brought a roll, and then he got me in the bathroom there, and we had a one. And because you didn't get that, you go home now with your face long. And I tell you, it then affects how affectionate a man can be. Because a lot of times women don't say anything, but their expressions, man, let me tell you, say the space. And it's very, so I tell me what in the early part, remember I tell me, listen, if you see me leave a cut, you vex, slap me and tell me take it up. Don't give me, that look like if I know kill somebody. So it's important that, men, I think men are very affectionate, but you have, as we talked about here all the time, different personalities. And if you know you have a guy who is not that expressive, work with it. When he come home, got some on the nicest laundry, push him. Create things for him to respond to. Don't start, oh, you should do that. You did kiss me. Oh Lord, you go along and give me a kiss. No, you block the door and say, honey, I'm moving. Come, I'm moving. You know what I'm saying? So you learn to help along instead of trying to compare. When that was not the material, that was not the product you brought to your home that you got involved with. He was never that expressive. We got to work on it. And so I will leave that there and see what sort of controversy that brings as we go forward.
Yes,
Listen
controversy.
quickly,
Yes,
yeah.
go ahead, Bishop.
One of the things that men hate to hear is that you never do this. Because sometimes a woman will
Say
give
it
you
again, Bishop.
attention.
Say it again, Bishop. Say it again. Say it
One of the
again.
things that men hate to hear is you never do this. Yeah, those absolute statements that say, oh, you never affectionate, you never kiss me, you never hug me, you never do this, you never do that. And the reality is sometimes the man just investing bare effort in different areas trying to do, but the day he don't do something that the woman want, all of a sudden the man is like public enemy. Yes. So the thing is, sometimes women have to step back, take a look, an objective look. What does man do for me for the week? And she might be surprised to find that the man did a lot of stuff that showed his love, his affection, but maybe he forgot to, like for example, he said, he went to do something in the kitchen, he cleaned up, he cooked or whatever to show love and appreciation and stuff, but he forget to leave one dish. He forget to clean it up. He forget to wash that. All of a sudden, you never wash up the dishes. Yeah, the man put in effort, but the effort was not appreciated.
Well, good morning to Judith now joining us. I must say that sometimes women, I must agree, because there are times when I have actually learned over the years to, I guess, I must say, when we had Dr. Smalley on, and we explored the issue of, look at Bishop Mark's face, of love languages, of love languages, right? One of the interesting things that I honestly learned in that season was that, and I think this is where we understand affection, that a person can show love, but you might not understand that they're showing love because it does not meet what you
Correct.
expect.
What you expect.
And I think that's one of the major deficits when it comes to affection. Because Bishop Mark said something there, about the fact that, he was this way before. Then after you're married, you expect the transition. And I think that's the lie that we have many of us have believed, both men and women, where it is expected that when you are courting, and the truth is that then there are times when persons court and they're showing all of the affection, holding hands, hugging, and then when they get married, they stop. Then there's the part where persons don't show it, and then when you get married or you're in a committed relationship, you expect them to show it. So I think when we understand that there are times when a person will show love, but sometimes you don't understand that they're showing love. So, for example, when Bishop Edison says that a man has just cleaned the kitchen. So, going back to what I've learned from Dr. Smalley, that there are times when I have recognized that it's something that I wanted to happen did not happen. So then I have to check and realize, okay, so I wanted him to clean the chicken, but he didn't clean the chicken. But when I look back, I realized that maybe he took my vehicle to get it cleaned, or maybe he washed the clothes, or something. So then I'm able to say, you know what, I can't necessarily knock him, but rather to say, is it possible? Can you clean the chicken? If I clean it, or you clean it, I'll season it. That way, then you still have the need that you have met. You follow what I'm saying? So the affection will be understood in different ways. And I think that that's something that we need to understand, especially coming from, and I want to jump to this point, especially jumping to the part that we are sometimes in our Caribbean culture. I think that because we did not grow up with affection as we understand it, or we see on TV, where the hugging and the holding hands was not necessarily a thing. It is not. It was a norm to see somebody walk down and hold hands today. Even if you see someone holding hands today, sometimes people look like, "Mm, they hold their hands, get a room," that type of stupid behavior. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? You know, you walk and you hold your children's hands. What is wrong with me walking and holding my man's hand? What is wrong with that? So we need to change our mindset where we don't think, or if a man is walking and he's holding, um, a friend of mine were out at Shafet last Sunday night, and in and while we were there, we saw a couple come in, and the man was literally holding his woman, you know, holding her close, nothing sexual, just holding her close, and you could see the love between them, but everybody was looking at them like something was wrong. When I look at James and Jorette Jilks, they are not afraid to hug each other, to hold each other in public, because that's their norm. I think if a couple wants to be together and they want to create that as their norm, create it as your norm. Do not let the world say to you that it is not normal. Because I think that we need to unlearn some of the behaviors that we have been taught subconsciously by our parents.
I want to jump in there. Bishop Mark said it just now, Bishop Mark said it earlier. So as much as people talk about men not showing affection, a lot of women don't show affection. So even coining what you just said, Marissa, my wife and I, we went through Tonga holding hands, and people asked if we want a taxi because it's almost like we're tourists. You know what I mean? Is you know what I mean? And people do look at us as though it is weird, and people actually stop and look. It's that weird in 2022 where grown people holding hands is, yes, our culture, it is weird because every teenagers we are fine, but when it comes to adults, that is not necessarily the norm. And as much as we talk about men not showing affection, and that is what I'm saying, that a lot of women are not affectionate. Some men, you cannot hold a woman's hand in public. You know what I mean? So people saying that men want this or they're men afraid to show affection. I'm telling you, a lot of affectionate men, but they're not paired with a woman who is not affectionate. So you can't hold her hand. There's no public affection. You can't kiss her on the cheek. There's this walking separate. She don't walk with him. She will walk with the children. She will walk with her girlfriends. But to walk with him is a problem. So likewise, we are pairing ourselves with people that, as you said earlier, our culture that we raised from, because a lot of that comes from our home culture. Generally speaking, where affection was not shown, and especially for mothers, right? So when I go through my analysis, if mommy was not an affectionate person, generally speaking, you'll find that affection is not necessarily exhibited, especially public affection and even sexual affection. So a lot of people think sex is affection, but there's some people that can have sex without affection. After it's finished, there's no hugging, there's no cuddling, there's no talking. It was that we had sex, we had the orgasm. That is it. It's business as usual. So that's the thing that a lot of men would love to feel affection. I guess some of us need to learn and unlearn our behaviors. That is true. But I'm just saying, and to pull on your point, that as a culture, subcultures, and the macro and the microcultures, basic home and in the environment, where affection is not shown. We only know sex. We could go to a fet and walk up, we could go on stage and walk up and get on bad, which is more of a gyration, not necessarily sexual, but it is going to sexuality in a sense in our culture. But then you come and hold hands, and it is weird, both for men and women. And I'm just saying that this is where a lot of men now being raised by mothers that are not affectionate now come into the relationship, and it's hard to show affection to their spouse.
I kind of
I
wanted
wanted
to.
to say, go ahead,
Go ahead, Marissa.
you know something interesting that you said there about women being the ones to show affection, and that's generally, and I want to say maybe generally because sometimes our culture would say that this thing has my mind swirling as we're talking this morning. Women, you say that women sometimes have that deficit. I heard Bishop Mark say sometimes women have that deficit where you don't want a man pulling at you, because sometimes I think that we link that when a man pulls at you, a woman. I was married, so I know what I that sometimes people link that to only sexual intimacy, but that's not it. I think that we learn that where you think that because a man passes and he squeezes his wife's behind or his girl's behind, that it think is a statement to say, let's get in the bedroom. But I don't think that I think we need to change that, even though sometimes it might mean that. I don't think that's the only meaning for someone to have that expression of love in that manner. Um, Holding hands, and there's a feminist perspective that why would I want a man to hold my hand? I'm a baby. I can't walk by myself. Then there's also that expression that is coming from it. But then there's also the expression where for me, I cannot understand, and I this is my personality, where um I love love. So for me, I have no problem with if my spouse, Bishop Mark, don't even go there, where a man is going to hug you in public. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we need to even practice such in even within our churches, because for me, one of my challenges is that I do not see lots of pastors and leaders, one, sit next to their spouse in church, go out, you don't see them out, and if they're out, it's generally a church event. And sometimes it seems almost taboo to see a pastor, male or female, kiss their spouse on the cheek. I didn't say tongue and mouth. I'm just saying kiss on the cheek. I'm it's just it's on a lot of unlearning that we have to address. A lot of things that, as Bishop Edison said, we have to not be intentional about changing these deficits within our relationship. So if you are one who does not like someone to pass and and squeeze you, like what happened to you? That type of behavior, you then have to tell yourself, let me work at this, because this is my spouse's way of showing affection to me, or a loving touch, that kind of way. You have to then be intentional, where you your mind to change from some of those things. Bishop Edison, go ahead.
I was thinking of the fact that there are different ways that people can show affection. Like, for example, you mentioned the pastors not showing public displays of affection, and that may not mean that they're not affectionate other ways. Yeah, some people don't show affection per se in public because they might more prefer to show it in private. So from the time the wife comes through the door, the husband is smiling, or from the time the husband comes in, the wife is smiling. So you can have different displays of affection. I think the problem comes when we have a stereotypical understanding of what affection must look like. Yeah, so we say affection only looks like this and no other way. But we have to remember that there are all kinds of different types of affection. You have the physical displays of affection, where we talked a lot about that, the holding the hands, the hugs, the kiss, the touch, the caressing. Those are physical. But you also have the verbal displays of affection, the compliments, the encouragement, the romantic words, the poems, and so on. Yeah, then you can have non-verbal displays of affection. So the look doesn't have to be a condemning look. The look could be like, hey, you're my man, I'm checking you out. You're my wife, I'm checking you out. So it could be a look. It could be a secret signal. Yeah, a secret signal that's only known between the two of you. It could be a smile, as Sinclair mentioned. It could be a nod of the head, like, that kind of look. It could be closeness, because proximity to a person also can be equated with affection. I draw close to you. I sit close to you because there's some people that when they sit with their skin on you because they just want to be close to you, and that closeness communicates, hey, I like you, I'm affectionate. Even the pace of speaking, when when I'm with my wife, if I might get excited, my voice might tremble a little bit, or you get a little, your voice, your pace of speaking picks up because you're excited. But all of these nonverbal cues and so on, the verbal cues, the physical, all these are different dimensions of affection. But because we're not looking for these, because we have stereotypical understandings of affection, we only limit affection to certain categories. But affection is diverse. Yeah. And so if we understand that there are different ways of displaying affection, we could do it based on the love languages. For example, gifts. Some people like flowers, but some people hate flowers. You give some people flowers and then affection. I don't like flowers. Yeah, or you get them, some people like chocolates and they like cards. Give my wife a card and she like, no, I want a card. She don't want no card. She doesn't want any flowers. So giving her them things ain't meaningful to her at all. Yeah. So again, the Bible says you gotta live with your wife according to
according
knowledge.
to
So you gotta know again what is meaningful. So those are some of the different ways that you can show affection, or the different categories in which you can do that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things I went back to the love language. Remember we talked about someone cleaning the chicken, or something. Maybe for you, as I said, it's not. Yes, you know, yes, Sinclair. We have our conversation. So I'm just saying, if you are with a spouse, and for me, Sinclair, remember we talked about, for me, I might want to have my vehicle. I might understand loving me as taking my vehicle to get serviced, and then I'm over the moon because you've taken my vehicle to be serviced, because I understand that as love. And then you're saying, a person might say, but I'm not one that's going to um hug you up and kiss you up all in public, but I'll make sure that we have what we need in the home. I'm going to make sure that I show my affection in a way that, that's why I said, maybe, sometimes a person shows affection in one way, you don't receive it because that's their understanding of it. And going back to this, that love language is very key to understanding how a person will show you love. And once you understand that, it helps you to sometimes retrain your mind to not be upset, especially women. If, as Bishop Mark said, you don't send the flowers because they're expecting flowers, but rather you bring home some groceries. Bishop Mark, go ahead.
Um, well, I hear what you're saying, and I think what you're saying is that, you know, communication is very important. You see, what I find a lot of times is that because, again, as we come with misconceptions, people operate in their relationships with preconceived notions or expectations. And so they have a certain measuring stick according to maybe how they were culturalized and so on. And so, or maybe how their friends influence them. And so when things don't happen that way, before any discussion, they then build up animosity and start to judge whether or not the husband is loving or affectionate and all of that. Communication is very, very important. I believe that's why we always say here that counsel is important before you get involved, because you must be able to express what you like, and then the other person must be able to adjust, because that's the other problem. Some people are so into, oh, if you don't hold my hands, you're not affectionate. If you don't kiss me before you go, and you know why? Because they just see it on a movie, they read it in a thing, or to see the friends getting that, right? So you have to realize that each person's relationship is unique. Everyone has some unique things there. So it is important that you communicate. And the other thing that I will say is that you do not, and Bishop Edison mentioned it earlier, that you do not exaggerate. I always tell this story where this guy, the lady had asked him this was an actual session to cut the grass. I said, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. He said, Pastor, you know why he did not cut the grass and I allowed it to grow so high? When she was asking me, she said to me, well, Lord, the grass up there all up to the window, and you won't cut it low. So the man said, he said, well, when he looked at the grass just below his ankle. So what he did is that he rebelled. It was wrong, but he decided to let it grow to the thing, and she wouldn't get nobody to cut it, and he let it grow a little close to the window. And then he went and cut it. Why? Because the exaggeration. And also communication means that land the person, for example, I'm not a florist person. So even though my wife give me a little rose, I will skin my teeth by God, see who else with the rose. You know what I'm saying? Right? If she give me a rose, don't give me a rose alone. It has to be something that I like. Now she like roses, so I get it easy. Send me a thing or thing. And by, oh dear, oh Lord, put them on the sink, the sun mash them up, but she happy. You understand? So what we have to, give and take, and do not go into your relationship thinking that it's your neighbor's relationship or something you had with another boyfriend that you didn't like. No, open your mouth, deal with the issues, and make a plan. I might not be this. My wife was never a outgoing person. She was very quiet. Now, let me go. My wife made more jokes at me, because she started to adjust. She realized that her husband is a low moat guy that can mix sport at every juncture and so on. And now I can't get in. Listen, I can't get in a joke. Where we go. My wife always on the. So I've trained her well. She's now on the. But you understand what I'm saying? I'm sure F. St. Clair explains how his marriage works. They're going to have certain different things to mind. I'm sure Bishop Edison. There are some commonalities, But generally speaking, we develop, they would probably romance a little different. Some people like to get in the gallery, they won't go away at all, and they would do a little table and put candle and have their own candlelight dinner, and they're spending the money and going, they just love that gallery experience. And so each person have to determine what their environment can be and work at it. Always saying, maybe should have changed the name of my book from Working at Marriage, that marriage is hard work. Probably get Sinclair the right one to that thing too.
I just saw
I
Jason
think
place a comment there about communication, and that leads me to ask this question: Are we really able to have this conversation where I can say to my partner, so babe, this is what I need from you. What do you need from me? Are we really in a place where we can hear those conversations? I like when you hold my hand. I like when you clean the chicken. I like when you yeah, good on this chicken thing.
Go on, Marissa. All right. I ain't going there. I
I
ain't
like
going
when you
there.
say that again.
I'm not going there today, the cooking thing.
No, I didn't. I was talking about cooking.
Chicken.
I had an experience where somebody cleaned the chicken over the weekend, so that's why.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm just saying that there's just an interesting thing where
Security phone is here.
no, I'm just saying that those little things make a difference. If that's how you understand and receive love, and are we really able to have these conversations where we can say, um, this is what I need, and this is what I need from you. So, for example, if Bishop Mark can have this conversation with his wife, and she gives, imagine I'm there giving my spouse chocolate and roses, and he's like, but the truth is that I really don't really like chocolate and roses. I would like tickets to go to cricket. Are you really able to hear those conversations where and it's not and especially on something like a day like Valentine's Day, where many will show their love with their roses and their chocolates. Nothing is wrong with that, please. I have no problem with anyone showing their love on whatever day they choose. So that's your choice. But to know that when I give you something, it is something that you are going to appreciate and that you will understand that. And also when I do it, I know that for you it's acts of service. It is to say, all right, so you like to come home to a meal. I'm not doing it because I feel like a slave, but that's my way of showing love towards you, and you receive it also in that manner.
Yeah,
I
what
want to go back a little bit.
is that you need to add to the communication and the non-exaggeration. You have to add patience, because as you said there, Marissa, sometimes you want the change happen immediately. So every birthday it must be where you want it. No, you have to show patience. That's what we add to the scenario.
And if I can build on what Bishop Mark just said, it has to be a conversation and not demands. Because part of the problem is that some people will say, man, it gotta be this, and it's you. So then you're not really listening. You're not really listening. You're making your demands with the expectation that the person will meet your demands. But it has to be a genuine conversation where you're open, where you're listening. And then, as Bishop Mark said, then you apply that patience, because it will take time to make the adjustment. But if you exaggerate, you don't ever do this, and so on, then that's not conversation. You're making your demands.
When things people keep saying communication, and I could say that if communication was as easy as we think it is, then I wouldn't have a job.
If only.
Right? Yeah, it's not. It's not that easy. Yeah. So a lot of people say talk, but people think that because you're speaking, you're communicating. And we talk about effective communication, and they think about it as a therapist, it is hearing what a person is saying. Because some people can say something, but that's not what they really mean. They're saying something all the time, but that's not what they mean. For instance, like for yourself, Marissa, like acts of service is very huge on you. So it's not just the clean the chicken, carry the garbage, getting the carry service. Realistically, your love language is very pivotal in the midst of words of affection, in the midst of physical touch, in the midst of all that. Acts of service is very huge for you. So let's say that there was a communication. You said, I want you to put on the phone. I want you to look at me, da da da. And the person starts to do this, but then they don't clean the chicken, or they clean the chicken, but they didn't fry the plantain or whatever. So it could almost mean the person start to feel as though I'm doing these things, but it seems like there's not a gratitude, which is different than hearing you and saying, you know, dude, acts of service is her thing. I'm not saying don't do the quality time. I'm saying not don't do the gifts. I'm not doing the celebration. But you see that acts of service subconsciously, that is huge. Then the guy goes like, "Oh, I get you, dude," and he starts to work it. The truth of the matter is that a lot of people say they're talking about a thing, but you can't express something that you don't understand. So communication is not as easy as we think it is, right?
Stick a
So a
pin there,
lot of
Sinclair.
people,
Stick a pin right there. You cannot express something you don't understand.
no, you can't.
Explain that, because we're talking about having a conversation. I can have a conversation. I can say,
Right, but you don't understand how to express what
don't
you're
understand.
planning to say.
Yes, you don't. So let's talk about
So
that.
you go
Stick a
to,
pin
let me
there.
use for instance, you go to the mechanic. I'm not a car person, so I go to the mechanic, I carry the car. The master wrong, boss. I'm in a driving, man, and I hear this noise, da 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 da. I try to explain to him, but if I don't know how a radiator works, you know what I mean? If I don't know how the transmission works, all I'm telling him is about this noise. So I can't communicate to him what exactly it is. All I know is a noise. They try to press the brakes or whatever, da da da, and it's not happening. Yeah. The expert comes to the car. I've driven my car. I remember up to recently, last year, we went to buy some food, and I just drove by. And one of the guys standing there drinking rum. Yeah, boss man, I gotta check the oil thing and thing. The man just hear the engine. I driving my own car, you know. I was living my own car. And the man drinking rum toy, the man like, oh yeah, boss, man, go check that oil, da 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 da. Why? Because the car is communicating to him that it needs this. The car be communicating to me all along. I don't have a clue. None. And it's my car. So the faults of the thinking that because you have a spouse and they're communicating to you that you can hear what they're saying is not necessarily true. And you could be saying what you're saying, but it doesn't mean that a person has the ability to hear it. And this with third parties, where people are not subjective, but using objective tools. So the other part, apart from love languages, we talk about the personalities. So you have a person who's melancholy, who is hard for their face to their brain to tell their face how to look. So they normally look stoic. They're not expressive facially. Yeah,
Help us,
they're
Lord.
back
Help
thinkers.
us.
They're ruminative thinkers. So you pair that person with a high extroverted personality, that relationship has a problem, straight up. So every time you land on my couch, I'm telling you, y'all got problems. If y'all get married, this could be a problem. Because
It
you got
is
somebody that
true.
want to touch, communicate, laugh, and you got somebody that goes in back of the head, want to be alone, because if they go outside in public, they got to come home and detox. So by the time they do visit outside, when they see a certain time, they got to head home. That the extroverted person, I know ready to go. Why you want to go home? You so boring. You so this. That as much as you love each other, you know, it's some things you gotta say, love you, but I can't live with you. Right? So apart from a lot of these things, is learning some of the objective systems, the social connections that we can tell a person try, but I can only give you what I have. So to demand, they keep demanding, but if I have nothing left, I'm give you 110%, but it feels like 10. It doesn't mean the person is not trying. It doesn't mean the person don't love you. It just means sometimes I have nothing else. And so we have to accept that and not see it as a place of, oh, if you love me, you would do this. Some of you got to learn. I said marriage for grown people. And in some areas in your marriage, you will not get certain things met. I'm sorry. To have the idea that you're going to have it all, and that is the problem, I'm sorry. A lot of women believe that I can have it all. I tell women that's a lie. You cannot have it all. Most men don't go in a relationship thinking they can have it all. They don't. But when they think and get the guy that's a provider, he's a provider, he's a protector, he loves the Lord, but then he's a smiley guy at the same time. No. You get the smiley guy, but he's not necessarily a productive guy. So you got to pick your demons. You have to choose based, especially before marriage, what you're going into. As Bishop Mark is saying, was he this way before? You understand? Do not fall in love with the guy, as I tell people, the 30-day guy. You understand? The 30-day guy will be the marketing guy.
Oh
The
my
quick
God,
guy
that's a
will be
show on its
extroverted.
own.
That is the dating guy. I tell him, give it 90 days. Give it 90 days. After 30 days, everybody come back to their personality. The butterflies come down. Then you do the analysis. For many people, they fall in love with the 30-day girl, 30-day guy. They have sex. That's where the problem lies. Give
Yeah,
yourself a
but
chance,
that's
like
what,
God says. Wait until marriage. Yes, please.
right. But you see, very, very powerful points there. And this is where I just got the little thing. Because here it is that people say, I love him. I believe that this is the man for me. God, you're so correct,
And
Sinclair. In
the
order
thing
to
with
see the
God,
looks,
I
to get
tell
what I
God, come in
want,
my
and the
office with
looks,
this
to get what I
madness.
want, and
Sorry,
the
Bishop.
all of
The
that.
sister is come in my office with the Lord
Right,
send this person. I
right.
said,
You
that's not
understand?
in my office. We don't do that here. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this reminds me, but by the time I finish with them, you know, I'm sure it'll be Lord the more. Because what has to happen is that the love must be greater than the physical and wanting everything. If you go into a relationship, we're still loving. If you go into a relationship, wanting, understand where you're going to have to make some adjustments. And the other person will have to. But what happens is that we make the little minor adjustments that don't cost us much and expect the person now to give and give and give. And we have to change that taker attitude, right? As I keep saying that word, I keep using today, these misconceptions that if my husband loves me, he must, for my birthday, he has to give me a gift. If the man that can't financially do it, or even if he forget, what's the problem? They give you the gift the next morning or the next week after the birthday, if you forget. And that's a big thing. Or you don't forget, he doesn't remember birthdays. He doesn't remember. Does he supply everything you need? Other than that, he's good. But you, as Sinclair said just now, fighting for the little 10% and throwing away or affecting negatively the 90% that is working in your marriage. I told last week, my wife told me about that, and I had to change my mentality. You've got to understand that the love must be more than just what you get out of it. The love must be more than just, what the feelings you get and what your expectations. You must have a respect for and ability to adjust to the other person's expectations. And we do all that when we did a counseling. So what happens is that what must happen is that every single day, it must be an effort. I always tell couples this. Imagine this, you get up every morning with your spouse on your mind, and your spouse get up with you on their mind, thinking, how am I going to please my spouse? Not what I want. I am telling you, especially with the right communications and willing to change, when you get up on a day, you will have a wonderful day. Issues will come, but they will throw you off. Why? Because you are able to say, when I get, should I get rest from him today? What should I do today to make him happy? What? And the person doing the same thing, I mean, that's almost impossible to get that to happen, but that is what should happen. So that when each person but now coming out, I always do this little slow motion thing that Sinclair's remind me of, and I come out in the kitchen looking, you are coming looking for breakfast, you come in to see where, I wonder if I could do some eggs for my wife, and she comes up with the same attitude, I wonder what I'm going to do for my husband. I whip out more people in the kitchen, looking to please one another. Man, you can imagine, you might not even get to breakfast, but I'll leave that there.
I'm laughing at Susan's comment. Sorry, Bishop
Well,
Mark, that's not alone.
I am with
Birthdays and
Susan.
anniversaries must be remembered.
I am with Susan. I am sorry.
I
I am
tell you
with
though,
Susan.
but some
We
people
do not
birthdays and
have to have
anniversaries are not a big deal.
$1,001,001, but
But
something
listen,
must happen.
you all are misunderstanding me. I never said that the birthday and gifts are not good or that it shouldn't happen. I was not eliminating them, but I'm saying to you ladies that if you really love your husband and he forget your birthday for one day, it should not kill him. That is what I'm saying. Where's the love? The selflessness is what I want. One must get gift to feel good. And the man just forget because he was stressed with work, because he was doing whatever, and want to call dissing the man and then getting the movements and things because he forget a gift. And all the other years, he remember, man, one of the women is saying, I love when about when it's true, Yeah, you can't do that. You can't go, no, but no, sorry, Bishop. Man. No, if the man forget, if he forget, you can't kill him for that. What love do you have? You have love for yourself. You can't love your husband. Don't let me start to preach. You can't love your husband and vex him because he didn't give you a gift. His gift to you is himself. He have to give you the gift. I don't want to get into my sermon, so I'll ease off.
Susan ain't easing off though. Susan ain't even off. She ain't laughing that one. She ain't laughing that one, Bishop Mark. You lose this one. You lose this one.
Bishop, Susan is basing her love on a funny thing. She said if he loves, he must remember. No, these human beings, you're susceptible to mistakes. So you're saying that all the time the man they love you. But on your birthday, the evening, he comes and say, oh, shoot, girl, is so busy, I forget he ain't love you no more. Man, come on, Suzanne. All right.
Miss
All right,
Young
so
in
that's
there
how
too.
you
Miss Young
segue.
saying if the husband loves the wife, you should not forget the wife's birthday. I'm not
Come
saying
on,
don't buy the thing for her.
June, don't let me stop. June. I said, June, don't let no. Say, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
You with me, boy?
But
You
the
with me
thing
hard? You see
about
what the
it
man
is
has got
that she
issues on?
comes back.
You see what the man has got issues? I tell you all this is going to be.
She comes back and says, it's not about the gift, it's the thought that counts. I, as Bishop Mark is saying, and I'm serious about this.
But Sinclair, the fact
We're
that
not
the man come home, and at home
exactly.
and able to give her some love physically, get the Frenchie, kiss her or something, that's a gift too. Oh, honey, happy birthday. That's all right. I think so.
And even this sometimes, honestly, and I want people to think about this, right? And we talk about gifts. Let's say you bought a gift for $300, yeah? Same gift. But let's say that same gift costs $30. Sometimes not even a gift is what is the price tag on the gift? You know what I mean? And that is going to be weird
Oh
because we might
Lord.
figure it may be once it is priced at a high price, now it is something of value. So it's just a thought,
Oh
but it's
Yes.
Lord.
glorified.
Good
It
point,
is
Sinclair.
all
Good
these
point.
other things.
Yes.
And the point that I'm just saying is we talk about being mature. I'm not saying that don't buy the gifts. If your love language is gifts, then fine. Do that. You know what I mean? It's wisdom. If the love language is gifts, get the gifts. But the problem I'm having is that they're defining love by the gift.
Might you get
Are we
or lack of
measuring
the
the amount of
yes,
love man has as the gift? And I
yes.
always say that romance is not love, and we have allowed television and the books and all these things to set up relationships for destruction. Once again, I'm not saying don't do the love language. If the gifts are her thing, get the gifts. But all I'm saying is do not define the relationship on gifts and romance. The Bible does not have a definite marriage on that. The Bible says a marriage is a mystery. And we lose out on the fullness because we've not getting fullness of marriage is about. These are very fickle things. But I'm just saying they're important to people, but they're fickle. And we have allowed divorce and caused a lot of issues. When I said they thought I'm referring to a gift. The thought even to say
Yeah,
happy
listen,
birthday
no,
at the
listen,
end
I
of
try to say, here you go. Say, here you
yeah,
going,
yeah.
right? Let me tell you something. I want you here for
Yes,
a
please.
second. I
That's all
want
right.
you.
Women let the
I
men
want you.
have their say. They're trying to find their
Listen, I
excuses.
want.
You and let
No,
them
no,
have
let
it.
me get
Okay, sorry,
quiet. But
Bishop.
listen,
Bishop, give me a second. Give me a second.
yeah,
This is the
I got
problem
it
here, and
burning.
I'm saying to you, I love this program for this reason, and I like the fact that we got big personalities on here, and not grass-eating lions. I am saying that many times women are saying that they want to hear what men have to say, but when a man says it, then you get this, which
Yeah,
means most men do
that's
what?
why we
Get
don't
up,
talk. Yes, that's
because
why
you're
we don't
not
talk.
interested in hearing. You're not.
Right,
And I'm being
correct.
honest with y'all, ladies. If you
Yes,
already want to hear what men have to say, you hear, you take notes, you drop them
yes,
down, you investigate, you find out. But many women listen to rebuttal, and most men are not
that's the
into
problem.
rebuttal conversations. And we shut up. And you watch the same man that don't talk at home, talk with other people. And that's very important, ladies. You talk affection, most men feel affection when they're heard. It's very when a man feels liked, he feels affection. When a man feels respected, he feels affection. And when a man feels that his wife for him sexually attractive, he feels affection.
A lot of words here. And let me tell you something. I hear them talking about it is not the gift that counts, but it's the thought. Let me tell you something, right? That is where you are being not dishonest, but yeah, honest. Watch this. You know that if a man now forgot a gift and passed by somebody's house and pick 3 roses and bring them home, and then look down the road and see that the roses come up Miss George garden. It is murder. So don't sit here on this program and tell me it's not the gift that counts. The man going to one of those stores, I
Yes,
ain't
please,
calling the
Bishop.
store, and go and buy a little something for $4.50 that you find out was $4.50. You vet this, but he buy for. So don't bring it to me, ladies. Everyone want to hear me that you ain't about the cost is the gift that is the thought when around. Because when they accepting just any and every gift, and as Sinclair said earlier, as I make my exit, because you know I have to be elsewhere. But the point I'm making, as Sinclair said, we have got to deal with the issues and be honest with ourselves. When I like the gifts and if they don't come when I vex, sex shut down, all kinds of things. I am saying to you all very softly, it's what saying to come over and quarrel with anybody. I want you to understand. Do not be doing that. Saying to my, oh, it is not the cost, it's the thought. If a man don't bring the right quality thing wrong, you all ladies, let us be honest, or at least the most of you, winner ain't still ain't satisfied. He remembered, but he wasn't expensive enough where the gift was concerned. I love winner. I definitely got to go. But listen, keep the fire burning. See you all next week. Love on you. Bye.
Bishop Mark, as he gets ready to leave us from the show this morning. You always quite an interesting discussion as we talk about affection, men affectionate or affection not. And I think that we've learned a lot. I don't know about you, but just sitting here, there's a lot to gather, a lot to learn, especially for us to understand that communication is important. It's important for us to also understand that we will all understand and give affection differently. It is to understand that. And I think that if we get to that foundation to understand that, for me, you heard Minister Sinclair talk about acts of service. Minister Sinclair thinks he has it, but we will leave it right there. But for me, if mine is quality time, if mine, and I know my love language is quality time, if that's mine, quality time, then the person that I'm with must understand that I like quality time. If I'm with someone and I know that they like acts of service, I must also understand that. So that when I give and I show that affection and that love, it must be a language that they understand and are able to receive. So I will not be giving a partner, I will not be giving someone roses when they don't receive roses as a love language. I'm gonna give them a plate of food because that might speak to their heart. So it's to understand that as Sally says, that communication will be the key to understanding. And as Bishop Edison really spoke to this morning, that affection is not always the movie type of love that we see, the kissing as you go through the door, the hugging, the holding hands. But if that's how you understand and you want that, communicate that to your spouse, whether you're male or female. But it is to understand that it's not only that, there are other types of ways that affection can be shown. Bishop Edison, Minister Sinclair, your closing words.
Well, I was enjoying the banter, the back and forth. Yeah, but I think an important point was made. Yeah, and the fact that that sometimes as men we communicate what we prefer or what we want, and unfortunately sometimes the man shut down because the only person sometimes that's allowed to talk. The whole thing about if the wife ain't happy, then nobody's happy. And so on. But men have feelings, men have needs, and I think it's important to understand and appreciate that. We're not saying that the man should have all his needs met and the women don't get nothing. But I think that sometimes the men do speak, and for whatever reason, the women are not hearing. But then when the women speak, the women want the men to listen and to respond. So I think that we have to have that balance there where men are allowed to speak and the women can actually listen and receive it and adapt.
Sorry. Hello, Ramon. I got extended time. See, that's affection. Somebody want more. That is, we need to have a relationship. We want more of our spouses. Give us so much love that they can't wait to see each other again. So there's affection. The three things that I say that to go to the question that came with the discussion: how do men feel affectionate or feel that affection from their spouse? Men need to feel that they're supposed to like them for real. However, that is expressed personality relationship. They respect. Respect is a big thing for men. If a man doesn't feel respected, he doesn't feel loved, and that his wife finds him sexually attractive. That are the three main things that we find that we summarize based on the studies that I've looked at. Those are the three that a man feels liked, he feels respected, and he feels his spouse finds him sexually attractive.
Wow, a lot. A lot. I think we're going to have to continue it is our Teach Me to Love series, and I really want us to really explore the whole issue of understanding that how you receive love and give love is very important, and especially to the health of marriage. I think so many times people have just been married and they've just been going through the motions and so forth. But I think that you could have been married for 10 years, 15 plus, 20 years, and there's still much to learn. There's still the importance of understanding that your spouse has evolved, and as they have evolved, so have you. And sometimes the things that you would have been interested in years ago have sometimes now evolved to another level. And so if we are free and we've said earlier, open and honest to having truthful conversation, then we can say, you know what, I can build a healthy and strong marriage. And I want to say this, building a healthy and strong marriage is not about just the two people involved. I think we need to understand that when you build a healthy and strong marriage, there are others who learn from you along the way. Because as you've made some pitfalls along the way, there are others who you can help avoid. And even if they're there, you can help them understand there's a place to come out, a place of healing that you can come to and grow. And I want us to understand that our marriages are not only just for us, but they're for others who are looking on, others in the community, others who will grow and learn from us. And I think if we understand that we need to work at it. It's not just about you, but it's also about others who will grow from your from your journey. I see Mary Kieran here saying part 2 and 3 if necessary. Well, I think the gentleman will say that's coming next week. That's coming next week. We're going to continue to look at affection and how you can please your partner with affection. I think we can the Teach Me to Love series. Um, how you can please your partner, and necessarily not think it's only about me. It's not only about me, but it's also about your spouse. I think when we really understand love, it's really about your spouse. When I've learned that the love of Christ in me has really taught me, as a parent, you generally want to please your children. Why do you bring a deficit to your spouse? Why do you think that you forget you're supposed to keep pleasing your spouse? Because you've got married, that's the end of it? No, you keep working at it. So I want to say thanks to all of you, Bishop Edison, Minister Sinclair, Bishop Mark, who has been with us. To all of you who've been on our stream, hit that like button. Hit that like button and share. I believe that we've got good stuff here. Like and share it, because people share a lot of nonsense. Share what will build and encourage the kingdom of God, many to grow in the kingdom of God. So hit that like button, share it, and of course, don't forget that Bishop Edison Bynoe has his book out. It's now on Amazon, and he's been sharing some nuggets that he's learned along the way. Get yours today, the 8 success factors for a healthy lifestyle. We also have Bishop Mark with his CSEC mathematics and accounts lessons being hosted right now. And of course, our very own Clair Browne telling you all about how we can keep this temple healthy. Until next time, next Monday, that has been another edition of Men on Monday. God bless you. Have a great day.